Showing up on the first page of Google might not be the best for everyone.
There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my kitchen on this rainy Thursday night. I am joined tonight by fellow team leader Teresa and one of my gorgeous consultants, Mandy, and we are presenting to you Gourmet is our everyday. Now, I know that lots of chefs and people in the world have used that phrase before, but a few years ago, my 10-year-old said that to me one night after I cooked dinner. And I love that because prior to Thermomix, I can tell you that gourmet was not my everyday. So this is what, this is what the Thermomix can do for you. And we often present sort of, midweek meals and kind of things that people need to see and get dinner on the table. But tonight we just wanted to be a little bit fancier. So we hope you enjoy what we're preparing for you tonight. And we want to share lots of hints and tips with you. And we are recording tonight as well. So you are welcome to have your camera on, but if you'd like to turn your camera off, that's okay as well. We are spotlighting the people who are cooking. So you shouldn't necessarily appear in the video, but just if you're concerned about that, please turn your camera off. So we are cooking tonight with the amazing TM6. I did have a look today. There are about 45 people registered. I know some people registered knowing they couldn't make it, but also knowing that we will be sending them the recording. So hello to those watching at home tomorrow. And what I noticed today is that there were some TM6 owners who jumped on because they're obviously wanting to learn more about their machine. But we've also got some TM5 owners here who are just a bit intrigued as to what's happening with the TM6. We have got this current offer where you can upgrade from the TM5 to the TM6. It's a fantastic offer. And they're kind of going, well, why would I do that? What's happening with, what does the TM6 offer? So we want to show you that tonight. But really, the heart and soul of the TM6 is Cookie Do. And although we know you can access Cookie Do via a cookie with the TM5, it's a lot more seamless with the TM6. So it just gives you immediate direct access to recipes all over the world. So for those who do not have a TM6 at home, I actually even noticed there are a couple of TM31 owners on here tonight. And I want to share with you that the three of us presenting tonight all started with TM31s in our kitchen. So we understand the passion that you have for a TM31 as well. So for those who are not familiar with the TM6, I'm just going to flip my camera around. And actually, just need to go and adjust my brightness there so you guys can see the screen better. So the great thing about the Thermomix is that regardless of which model you have, our method of cooking is always time, temperature, and speed. So the language hasn't changed when you upgrade, which means it's really easy to transition from one to the other. What you find with the TM6 is that we have this fully integrated touch screen. So you may or may not be able to see there's 3 dots down the bottom there. What that means is there's 3 screens. So we can scroll across here and have a look at all of these different modes. Now, there are 18 modes here currently. The beauty of the TM6, a bit like when you wake up in the morning and there's an update on your phone, the TM6 will give you those updates as well. So when we first started with the TM6, we had 9 modes and now we have 18, and we know there's more to come. When I scroll in the other direction, it gives me direct access to my Cookie Do platform. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about when I say Cookie Do is our global recipe platform. It's like our Netflix for recipes. So think about, you can go in and choose either by ingredient or by genre. So you might go, I want a pasta dish, or you might go, I've got chicken, what can I cook with chicken? So you'll get a whole range of things, or, you're looking for dessert, you've got people coming over. You can adjust filters based on how many you're cooking for, what ingredients you've got, any dietary requirements. So it really takes that kind of strain out of what am I going to cook, how am I going to use these ingredients. And what we've really found too is that a lot of people now with the Thermomix are eliminating or highly reducing the amount of waste they have. So I know that a lot of customers that we speak to without a Thermomix talk about the fact that they really fit into that national average of throwing out a shopping bag of food a week. So if you think about what sort of the cost of that is, we have a bit of a joke with, it's not even really a joke. We actually have a little bit of a mantra that, you can save $60 to $80 a week cooking with the Thermomix. And if you're throwing that out in the bin and you could turn that into food, you pay for a Thermomix whether you buy one or not. So if you want to explore that with your consultant, please do. We've got cost-saving calculators and different things you can play with there as well. All righty, I think I've talked enough. We will obviously talk some more, but we've got a jam-packed menu. So I'm going to get over to Teresa so she can get her dish started. But I did mention the offers and I will go through them with you just in case you people aren't sure of what the offer is. All righty, Teresa, over to you.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you, everyone, for joining tonight. This is great that we can, you know, you don't have to leave home. Unfortunately, you don't get to sample the food, but it's probably the perfect night to sit back and, like Michelle said, watch a bit of Netflix cooking. So tonight I'm actually making a sweet potato and prosciutto like tart sort of thing, which is absolutely beautiful. It's great hot, but it's also lovely cold with a salad. So the first step and I've got it, I should show my step here. The first step, it says to use a mandolin. Well, for those that are not aware or may have one, we've got our cutter, which was probably the highest selling, like I think the first lot it sold out, what was it, in 3 minutes, 5 minutes, Michelle? So these are back on stock. You just have to go on and pre-order. So you're going to see how quick and easy it is. The good thing is that you're not going to dirty the bowl while we are slicing the sweet potato. So pretty much you can shred and you can slice. So this just sits on top of the blade, pretty much like that. Your basket just sits over the top. So the great thing is you can do all your prep and then get into the cooking and you don't have to worry about washing your bowl. Now we're actually going to do slicing. So on the plate here, we've got there, you probably can see that if I bring it close, slicing. Not great working back the front. And then this is your shredding. And then you get to choose if you want it thick or thin. So we're just going to pop that in there. Now I'm just going to lower that so you probably won't see can you see that, Michelle? Is that clear?
Yes, we can see it. Can you just make your screen display dark? Settings?
Yeah. Display.
Other way. You want to add the darkest one, not the dullest, not the brightest.
Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. I know it's counterintuitive, isn't it? That's perfect.
But can you see that? Oh,
Yep.
yeah, because it's lighter for me, but yeah. All right, so now I'm going to come over to the cutter function. So like Michelle said, there's 18 modes here. So I'm going to come over to the slicing and choose the slicing, and here it actually gives you a bit of a spiel. Pretty much really simple is we're just going to choose thick or thin. Michelle, what did you do today, thick or thin?
I did thin today.
Yeah, and that cooked good?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things, sometimes we overthink things like that, but once you're popping it in, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think when I've made this before, I've done thick and thin. With the thick, you just probably need to cook it off a little bit more. But I'm just going to go thin, and then you can just add more layers if you're on. So this is great that we have flexibility. I'm just going to go up here. So with anything that obviously fits through, it's like, let me lower this. Just needs to fit through the bigger part. Anything that's smaller, so like even if you're slicing, I was slicing lemongrass, that's going to float around. So you just pop them in the smaller part and you get really, really lovely slices. Garlic's great in there, ginger's great in there as well. So we're going to pop the sweet potato in the thicker part. So you just turn it, in the, the thicker part here. We're just going to take it to thin slices. And again, we've just got a lid that.
So for those of you who are interested in getting hold of a cutter, I believe Mandy has put the link in the chat. It does say pre-order. However, I believe there is stock in the warehouse, and that stock, when it runs out, there's some more due in a couple of weeks. So just to manage expectations, they have got pre-order, although all my customers who've ordered in the last couple of weeks have actually got them dispatched straight away. So Don't be disheartened if it says pre-order. Get your order in and you'll find you'll have it on your bench fairly quickly.
Okay, there you go. I'll show you. So these are the lovely slices that you get. Can we see that? Just lovely little discs. Can we see that? Yep. So
yeah, they look great. And just
Yeah.
lift up that whole basket. Look how good that looks.
So with this dish, you can really use anything. So I've just got I think Michelle's used something different and she'll show you, whereas I'm just going to use a closed base. And all you need to do is, and you don't have to be.
Hey, Teresa, the next step is to put some olive oil on that and some paprika.
Sorry. I'm
Do you
going to
not
go.
do that?
Yep. I normally do a little bit different. I'm going to follow the recipe now. I'm not good at following recipes, and
I know, do it your way if you like. I just made it for the first time today, and
so we're gonna follow the recipe because that will confuse. I'm not a recipe follower. So this is a sweet potato and quiche with prosciutto. So again, I've just taken it a step back to slice the sweet potato. So we're going to come up to face potatoes. Done that.
So that's the beauty of these recipes, is that they're guided recipes, but you're in control. So the next step was a bit of paprika and olive oil, but if you don't want to do that, you don't have to do that.
And that's right, yeah. So I'm going to follow the recipe. I'm just going to dress this with paprika and olive oil in the bowl and then layer it.
So for those wondering what's going on, the sweet potato is actually replacing the pastry in this quiche. So it's going to line the dish and create our base. So it's a great gluten-free option or a great low-carb option. I guess the sweet potato is still carby, but not as carby as pastry.
Absolutely. So it's really just tossing it in the with the paprika and sweet potato. And the oil. And again, these are really thin slices, so I'm not. Now you can do one by one. I'm just going to actually put them randomly, but as long as the base is covered, because you want, when we do the quiche part, the egg part, we want it to sit on top. So I don't think you need to sit here and or sit and watch me do that. We can get on to the next one. I'm just going to layer it, but the important thing is once you do, you need to add some to the sides. So once you've created that, is just create a bit of a side to keep your egg in. So it's pretty much just going to look, I'll do half. Are you okay with that, Michelle?
Yeah. So while Teresa creates her base, we might pop over to Mandy because Mandy has got a beautiful dish and it's going to need a little bit of time to cook.
Okay.
So, and then we'll come back because Teresa will then have to pop that in the oven. So we'll come back and she can show you what that looks like. Hi, Mandy.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming along tonight. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this dish. I haven't made it before. So we'll get going. But what I thought I'd do is show you how to find it. So I put it in my cookie dough for today. And all I need to do is go up to what we call a hamburger. The 3 lines on the top left hand here, go to my week. And here we go, ready to go. So I'm making the Middle Eastern salmon with tahini yogurt. And I'm quite happily saying yogurt because that's what they say in that video at the beginning. So the English heritage is allowed to show through. All right, so I'm going to start cooking. I've got 1 garlic clove. I've actually got 2 because they're very little. And I'm going to pop my lid on. 2 seconds, speed 7. Takes you longer to put your garlic into a garlic press and definitely longer to clean it. You can see that, there it is, beautifully chopped. Asking me to scrape down the sides. mainly down the bottom anyway. All right.
I'm just going to butt in for a sec, Mandy.
Yeah,
So
go
that's
for it.
that's the quiche, and I've just
Hang on.
put it up the sides as well.
Hold on, oh yeah, well done.
Oh, okay. And that's just going to go into the oven for 20 minutes.
Oh, looks so delicious. I've actually put it in my week to make on Saturday now because it looks so good.
Thanks for showing us that, Teresa.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. Oh, thank you, Michelle. All right, so I've got my garlic chopped there. Then it says half a teaspoon of sea salt. So I'm just going to pop that in. 200 grams of Greek yogurt. Now, I do normally make mine, but we are going away next week and I just, crazy times, didn't have enough time to make it. But you can absolutely make your yogurt in your TM6. It's one of the wonderful things and it's a great money saver. So that's going in. Should know by now. Always put a bit extra in because you always lose a bit. Anyway, that'll be fine. Close it up. Okay, 50 grams of tahini. So I've got some tahini. And the next thing is some lemon juice. So in here, I've got my tahini and lemon juice. Okie doke. Popping the lid back on. 10 seconds, speed 4. Now it's asking me to transfer it into a sealable container and set aside, and then clean and dry my mixing bowl. Well, seeing as I have 2 mixing bowls, I'm just going to take this one off and put a clean one on. And one of the awesome things with our current deals, whether you're buying a Thermomix for the first time or you're trading up from the TM5 to the TM6, there's a second bowl and blade set in there, which I'm sure Michelle will tell you about later. But I definitely use 2 bowls a lot. Clean bowl. Okay, now this next bit, it says 80 grams of walnuts. Now, we have pecans in our house, and it asking me to dry roast them, but that took 4 minutes. So I just thought I'd pre-do this bit. So I've got my, they are roasted, and then I had to just chop them up a little bit. So that's all done. Transfer to a small bowl. There they are. Then I have 20 grams of coriander in here. I have 2 sprigs of mint and 2 long red chilies. Four seconds, speed 7. See that? Amazing, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah. Anybody here not a coriander lover? I know it's very polarizing. I love it. My husband doesn't particularly, but I won't tell him. Yeah. All right.
For those who don't like coriander, you could substitute for parsley, I imagine.
Absolutely. That's what I would say too. Next, I've got 1/4 of a brown onion and some more lemon juice. There. And 1 teaspoon of sumac, which is an African spice. Two teaspoons of olive oil. And pop the lid back on again. This time, 3 seconds on speed 5.
It's funny, Mandy talked about adding that quiche to her menu. I've added this dish that she's making to my menu.
Could be a dinner party on the weekend.
Yeah, totally.
This is an amazing dish. I highly recommend it. My family love it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for suggesting it. I'll season with salt and pepper. Oh, and mix the combine. I think that's just me doing it with the spatula. Let's just check. Yeah. So just got a bit of, so here we are. I'm just going to give that a little bit of a mix here. And it's called the walnut crumble, but this is pecan. And then I'm just going to pop it into a bowl. This one I will have to pop into a bowl. Now I've just got a question. I can't see, I'm not really looking at the chat at the moment, but anybody who has a Thermomix and is not using their Varoma, I would love you to post in the chat, please. Because it's one of those things that we all talk about, that sometimes you'll go to someone's house and they say, oh, I never got one of those. And actually it was hiding in their cupboard all the time. But we are going to use the Varoma very shortly. So 1,200 grams of water. See, I haven't had to wash this bowl, which is great. Then 2 teaspoons of vegetable stock. So this is my vegetable stock, which was made just from scraps. So that's all my, you know, my peelings of my vegetables and the ends of the vegetables and things like that. Anything that was looking a bit sad as well. So 2 teaspoons there. So, you know, as Michelle was saying before, it's so easy to save money with a Thermomix, and this is one of the ways. I mean, this stock is literally free. All right. Now, with the simmering basket, which I've got somewhere here, it's going to ask me to use Israeli couscous. And I should have asked Teresa this because I know she's gluten-free as well. I'm not using couscous. I'm actually using quinoa. So is that what you use, Teresa?
The first time I made it with the pearl couscous, and then the second time with, yeah, the quinoa, and it's great. Like any of the, you can even just do it with rice if you wanted, if you didn't have the,
yeah.
So it's a great substitute.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so I've got the quinoa in the simmering basket, and what I did do was I did give it a really good rinse first, and then I'm going to, it's asking me to place the Varoma in position. And whenever you're steaming, it's asking me to do this too, is to put some well wrung out baking paper. So I've wet this, I've wrung it out, and now I'm lining the Varoma here. It's a really good way, makes it easier to clean. And it also stops juices going down. So, you know, if you had a vegetarian and you were doing maybe a slightly different dish, but you could have your fish in the Varoma tray and just contain all the juices. That's going on there. You can see that I've got so many things. So it's just sitting on the top. All right. And I'm only putting in 2 pieces of fish. It does say 4. I'm only doing 2 because it's just my husband and I, and I'll cook some other fresh tomorrow. So popping those in. A little bit of olive oil. And salt and pepper. And then just going to pop the lid on. Oops, get this up so you can actually see. So there it is sitting there. All right. And that is going to cook for 15 minutes on Varoma temperature on speed 2. And just quickly before you move on, I just wanted to draw your attention. If you are not a Varoma user, go to your basic cookbook. Well, first of all, have a look on, just type Varoma into Cookie Do and look for some dishes that you can have a go using your Varoma. It's fantastic because you can do layered things. You can do a whole lot of stuff at once. But also in your basic cookbook, the white one, you've got a TM6 on page 306. There's a whole lot of resources. And when we come to, not that one. Oh, yes, steaming, here we go. We've got one all about steaming, all right, and all the basics of steaming. So please dig that aroma out and use it because it is totally awesome. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Mandy. I will steal the spotlight back. Oh, my thing just froze. Oh, there we go. Hello, welcome back to my kitchen. Okay, so the dish that I am presenting tonight is the 3 cheese and spinach scrolls. Now, although they're not necessarily gourmet, a lot of people are a bit sort of daunted by scrolls because they kind of, you know, you see them in Baker's Delight and they're $5 each or whatever they are, and they're like, how do you achieve that? So it's about just sort of demystifying it and you being able to create something, whether that be for a lunchbox or whether that be for an afternoon tea if you've got some friends over, that's just a little bit different and a bit fancy. And you can obviously play with the flavors of that as well. So, you know, for the lunchbox, it might just be cheese and Vegemite. It doesn't have to be 3, you know, spinach if that doesn't float the kids' boat. All right, I'm just going to take you in here for a second. So what I've done is save these things into my week. So one of the things that Cookie Do allows us to do is create weekly meal plans. So I've got all these amazing things saved in here. So 3 cheese and spinach scrolls. Now, what I did today was I went shopping and I had also within Cookie Do been able to add this to my shopping list. So when you're in a guided recipe, it gives you lots of information, level of difficulty, prep time, total time, portion size. So it gives you lots of good information and what to do. And it really starts right from the start, saying line and baking tray, set aside. So I've got that good to go. And now it's the 3 cheeses. Now, it says 3 cheeses. Sometimes I've only got 1, sometimes I've got 2, sometimes I've got 4. So, you know, again, roll with that. And if I can sort of do confessions of a Thermomix consultant, sometimes I just buy a bag of pizza cheese at Aldi. So you do what works for you. Obviously, when you grate your own, you avoid all those additives and preservatives, anti-caking agents. But sometimes it's just convenient. So just kind of putting that out there as a little side note. All right, so here's my cheese and in it goes. All righty. And it's 5 seconds on speed 8.
So just a little tip there as well with if you are just doing 1 cheese and you're doing a mozzarella, you don't, to be really honest, you don't get a nice chop. So if you are using mozzarella, it's always good to use a firm cheese with it because you get a really lovely consistency. So mozzarella on its own, not so good, but add 1 other cheese, a cheddar or a Parmesan, and you get, yeah, it just helps the chopping process.
Yeah, I actually literally grabbed this cheese out of the fridge just before I chopped it. So had I had that sitting on the bench, you know how cheese will go soft when it's at room temperature? You'll end up with kind of a mushier cheese, which, you know, it's going in a scroll, so it doesn't matter, but it does also make it a little bit harder to work with. So you can see here I've got nice crumbly cheese there. I did have some cheddar, some Parmesan, and a little bit of a provolone. So which my dear mother had left in my fridge. So I've been gnawing away at that and then popped a bit in there as well. So transferred to a bowl. So next we've got the spinach leaves. So 60 grams of spinach, in that goes. I actually got a fruit and veg box delivered last week and I had a big bunch of fresh spinach in it. So I was excited to do this recipe because I've used it for that. And I also used it for something else that I'll be showing you a bit later. So that's 3 seconds on speed 6, super quick. And you can see there, that's chopped that up beautifully. So I'm just transferring those back into those bowls. Pop in the chat if you've made scrolls or if you thought you'd like to, but you're just not sure what to do or where to start. And if you've got any specific questions around it, please pop them in there because, you know, what you might find with all of us is that we're good chatters and we can talk about Thermix and the recipes all day, but we want to talk about the things that's important to you. So, all right, so now go straight on with the dough. Now, the thing I love about this is we're not washing the bowl. So the bit of cheese and the spinach in the bowl are just going to form part of our dough. So 300 grams of water. Now, what I did in the interest of time for you guys is I made some dough, pre-made some dough. So I did a half batch before and I'm doing the other half now. So I've got 150 here. So I'm halving everything that I've got here. Yeast, so it's 2 teaspoons of yeast. I'm going to pop 1 in. If you're doing a bit of baking, it's great to buy it like this and then just keep it in the freezer. And then the little tip is when you pop it in the bowl, what you'll notice is, particularly at the moment, because I'm only doing half, you want to put it around the edges into the water, because if you dump it in the middle, it will sit on top of the blade there and not mix in with the water. So 20 grams of olive oil. So I'm doing 10. I'm saying this out loud so I don't forget. You know, have you ever done that? Halve a recipe and then go, oh no, I put in the full amount of one of the ingredients that I shouldn't have. And then some salt. So I've just got my little salt container here in my Tupperware. Beautiful. That was probably a full teaspoon, but hey, I don't mind a bit of salt. And now we're going to pop that lid on. Alrighty. So, and now that's actually going to heat the water and the yeast for 2 minutes at 37 degrees. But what I'm going to do in the interest of time and, you know, in the interest of, in a little bit of here's one I prepared earlier, I'm going to get on with creating the scrolls so they can go in the oven. So as I said, I made half a batch earlier. So with our recipes, you can halve them, you can double them as long as you don't exceed the maximum fill line in the bowl. So actually put the camera down to the dough so you can actually see what's going on here. Right, here's my dough. Now I had it wrapped in this mat. This is a thermo mat, and I'm actually going to be using the other one to go in the oven. These two are host boards when you host the dinner. So I love these. You know, when we talk about sort of sustainability and no waste, it means I'm not using, you know, I very rarely, I'm not going to say never, but I very rarely use baking paper or foil or those sorts of things, because this is just can be used for cookies, chicken wings, roast potatoes. So anything that you might be popping in the oven, you can use the mats, these mats for, and you can put them in the dishwasher, but honestly, they're so easy to clean that I tend to just wipe them down or pop them in a bit of warm soapy water. Now, if again, you know, with these sorts of things, if you want to get out a rolling pin, you can do that. I'm just being a little bit rustic today. But again, I'd love to know who would like to, you know, who's someone who'd like to get out a rolling pin and who would kind of just go, she'll be right. Because I think the thing that we all love about the Thermomix is that whichever cook you are, you can be authentic to who you are as a cook, because it lends itself to that. So we don't expect you to change the way you cook because you've got a Thermomix. It's actually about making your life easier. So things like if it says a teaspoon of sugar or salt or whatever it might be, if you're someone who would normally get a spoon out, absolutely do that. But if you're someone who would just go, well, that's about right, you can still do that. So I like to say to think of your Thermomix like a sort of temperature controlled saucepan. I'm having a bit of a laugh at myself here because I've halved the dough, but I'm using all my ingredients. So the other ones will be, my other dough will probably get used tomorrow morning and, you know, be Vegemite scrolls for the school lunchbox. So there's my spinach, grab a little towel there, and then my cheese. So you can see here, I'm really not, you know, making anything too perfect. And I think it's one of those things where it's almost the fact that it's not perfect is what makes it perfect. Or is that just my imagination? Are there any comments or questions in the chat, girls? I am only going to use half the cheese, by the way. So I just spread that out.
All looking good.
Beautiful. Who wants to come to my house for some scrolls in about half an hour? Alrighty, so now to roll it up. So I'm kind of going to pull these edges out a little bit. Now my dough was probably proving for about maybe 2 hours. So, and it makes it much easier to work with as well. So just you want to get that first edge, that first sort of roll happening. So it's kind of pull and roll. And then what I'm going to do is actually use the mat to help me roll it. So almost like you would if you were doing, you know, sushi or something like that. Just make sure I'm on track. Yeah, that's looking good. This has not been pre-recorded. This is a live demonstration. I always laugh when I do these because as Teresa did say at the start about the fact that, you know, it's a shame you guys don't get to taste the food, but can I tell you, my kids love it when I do these because they get to have the food instead of you guys. So there we go. So there you go. That's the rolled up bit. And now I'm going to grab my little. Now the recipe actually says to transfer it to something else to chop it. You can't use a knife on this mat, but I'm just going to use this guy. Now, some people will kind of use, you know, it says a sharp knife, so you get kind of a perfect looking thing. But again, I'm kind of going to work on rustic and just roll with that.
Also, dental floss gives you a really lovely cut where you're not squashing it. So great.
Yeah, I was actually about to say that some people like to do dental floss. These are going in the kids' lunch boxes, so perfection is not really what I'm looking for. But I think you'll find when they come out. We had a fun night. One night we made, at our team meeting, we made samosas. And it was hilarious trying to roll the, you know, it was like doing origami, but and they were all the most obscure shapes. But once we kind of cooked them up and put them on the plate and made the mango chutney and all of that, we all commented on how good they looked. And when we were making them, we were like, oh gosh, they look a bit random, but here we go. Now, as I said, I halved this recipe and the recipe said to make 12. I've made this quite small. So technically I should have only been making 6, but I'm still probably going to get about 12 out of this. So even though, as you can see, that, you know, I'm squashing them a bit when I cut them, as I put them on the tray, I can kind of work with it a little bit. It's almost a bit like Play-Doh. And, you know, you've got, I say sunny side up, green side up. Now, these go in a cold oven for about 20 minutes. So timing, good timing, because we said tonight we'd go for about an hour and these should be coming out of the oven right on that time. So there you go. What do you reckon? Now, I know some, I think Teresa, have you come out of the oven? Do you want to do your next bit?
Yes, I'll do my next bit. So just when you're doing the potato, just make sure you are generous. So it looked like I had a lot of potato and I kept some aside. It actually shrinks. So just be mindful that you do cover and allow more on the sides because like I said, the sweet potato shrinks and then you have holes and everything. So I was quite generous, but I just had to move it around. All right. So the next step is placing garlic. So I've got 2 cloves of garlic here. I'm just going to, there you go, 2 cloves and 1 onion. So cut in half and our lid on. So we're going to chop that for 3 seconds on speed 5. Scrape down the sides with the spatula. Now, something interesting that Michelle said today is the next step is going to, oh, they're strong. We're going to cook it off. So it says to insert a simmering basket and there's no oil. So we're just going to add some oil because that's how we're sauteing. But interesting, the recipe doesn't require it. It actually says to add the simmering basket, but I'm just going to leave it off because my simmering basket's actually in the wash. So 3 minutes at 100 degrees on speed 1. So that's actually just going to cook off. Do we need to go anywhere else, Michelle? Or
well, actually, I can finish making my dough just so everybody knows what that looks like.
Okay, yep, because I've got 3 minutes.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I've also just got to take the quinoa out, so people might want to see how you do that with the simmering basket.
Let's do you, Mandy.
Yeah, just quickly. Okay, so all happening at once, hey? All right, so now what it's asking me to do, so I've had the quinoa cooking and the salmon, and it's asking me now to take the varoma off. So a couple of really important things when you're removing your varoma. A little bit close. I'm going to end up in the sink if I go too much further. But you always make sure that you angle the varoma lid away from you so that you don't get the steam bath in your face, okay? Pop the lid down and then sit your varoma on top like that. So any drips are caught. Now, my fish isn't fully cooked yet, but it's not meant to be. And what it wants me to do now is to remove the simmering basket. And this is one of the great things. So we've got the hook here on the spatula, and it goes into a little hole on the simmering basket and ends up as a handle. So I'm just going to put this into a serving bowl and add a little bit of olive oil and lemon juice. And from then I'm going to pop the varoma back on and steam the salmon for another 4 minutes. And if I don't think it looks cooked enough, I'll steam for a little bit longer. So that's all I needed to show, Michelle. If you want to do your dough, go for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi. So I had heated up my water with the oil and the yeast and a bit of salt. I've just added in the flour and it just mixed for 5 seconds. So I love that about the Thermomix. So whether it be cakes, doughs, whatever, your mixing time is anywhere between sort of 5 seconds and maybe, maybe 20 seconds. So it means you can really, I talk about the no waste. Pre-Thermomix, if I had sort of some, rotten bananas, they were going in the bin. Now they go in a cake. So, there's lots of benefits there. So now it's just the kneading function. So the kneading function, so when you're looking at a mode or a function, it's just on or off. So when it's a number, you go to that number, but with this, it is just on or off with those. So I mentioned about the, can you hear me while that's kneading? Is that okay? Yeah, beautiful. And Teresa, did you want to go back to you actually? Because you've got, while that's kneading, your garlic must be ready. Yes.
Mine's just good timing. There it is. It's dinging away for us.
Perfect.
All right. So
we sort of talk about a run sheet at the start, everyone, but we kind of have to be a bit fluid as well. So it works well.
Absolutely. So now we're going to add feta. Now I probably don't have a huge amount of feta but that will do. I'm okay with that. Just wanted to clean out the fridge. So now we've got our spinach. So adding 60 grams of spinach. Yep, there's our spinach. And 5 eggs. Two, 3, 4, and 5. And then 60 grams of cream. And again, you probably can substitute this with coconut cream if you needed to. And then a little bit of pepper. So this is peppercorns that I've roasted in the Thermomix and just blitzed it. So the smell and the freshness of this is just amazing. I'm just going to add some pepper. Lid on. We're just going to blitz that on speed 5 for 10 seconds. All right, so it says to reduce the oven now. So it was on 200 for the potato. And now we're just going to pour these. Carefully.
Can you just tilt your camera down so we can see your cooked potato, please? Beautiful.
Can you see that?
Yep.
So like I said, the sides shrunk, but the egg anyway creates a bit more of a barrier anyway. Yeah, so it says here, carefully push the edge of the potatoes shell back if it's fallen, which is what's happened here as well.
Yeah, I had to do that today too.
Yep. And then you pour the egg over the top. Now you can add salt, but you've got the feta. So, and you've got
Yeah, it's funny when it said to add pepper today, I was like, shouldn't I be adding salt as well? And then I had a little taste. And I mean, actually, the feta adds not
and the
enough salt.
prosciutto. Yeah.
And then, of course, so does the prosciutto.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to make it vegetarian, the flavour of that is actually lovely as it is. Or you could add some olives or some cherry tomatoes or something to add a bit of colour as well.
All right. So then I've just got some prosciutto, and you can just break it up, and then you just pour it over slice them over the top. So, and it's 100 grams of the prosciutto. We should get to the next step. Did it say to add it now?
Yep. And actually, it said 100, but today I bought a packet that was only 80, and I think I ate a bit as well as I went. So mine probably only has 70 grams on it.
It is quite a generous. It is quite a generous amount, but it does shrink as well.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm sure my boys are hanging around to see if there's any leftovers, but
yeah, I bet. That was the first question from my daughter as well. Is there any more prosciutto in the fridge, Mum? I'm like, no, don't.
Okay, so we're going to bake this now for 30 minutes at 180 degrees or until it's firm. So every oven is different. And then again, Michelle will show the end. Here's what I prepared earlier.
Exactly. Lovely. All right.
So Michelle, my question for you is, did you confess to your daughter that you'd actually eaten some of the prosciutto?
No, of course not. That's the chef's right, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Alrighty. So I am going to show you my dough. So that's just been kneading, and I've got it's kind of Shrek dough because it's the spinach in that. Now I'll give you, for those who are new to this, this is the bottom of the blade here. So you can actually tip it up and give that a little swivel from underneath there, and it actually just helps your dough fall out. So there you go. Now, so I'm going to pop that aside, and now I'm just going to pop that in a ball, and you know that can be something yummy tomorrow. I could use that as a pizza base or a focaccia, or I can make more scrolls, which is probably what I will do because I do have a lot of scroll lovers in this house. So the next dish I am going to make, and again, Teresa and I have done a bit of teamwork today where she's made something on screen that I've pre-made to show you the finished product. And there's something that I'm about to make that she's got the finished product to show you because it actually has quite a long cook time. So the thing that I'm making is the Danny Valent Basque cheesecake. Put your hand up or pop in the chat if you've made that before, or if you've ever made a cheesecake in the Thermomix, because it is so easy but so impressive. We do actually have a hashtag, which is the humble brag, and honestly, when you make something like this, it truly is the humble brag. What I actually will show you just quickly before I move on is that this scroll recipe actually gives you little videos. So for those who aren't familiar with the TM6, of course, I did all this before because I've done it before and I didn't need to watch the video. However, you can actually just press play on the video and it shows you how to roll it out, and then in another video it shows you how to dress it and roll it. So, and if you don't need to watch the video, you just skip past them. So don't feel like this is going to take any time if you don't need that. You can see they're using a rolling pin there. I just did it by hand. Again, you do what works for you. I've seen people use a wine bottle in the absence of a rolling pin, so whatever you've got. So then it says to pop the cheese and everything on it, and then it gives you this instruction here on chopping it with a knife, and see how they've got very nice, neat cuts there. So again, I showed you the rustic, she'll be right method. This is the more perfect method. So be whoever you are as a cook with that. Alrighty, so we're going to come out of that now, and I'm going to go into my Basque cheesecake recipe. And I actually haven't made this one for a while, so I'm a bit excited about this. So there's an option to make mini ones as well, but I am making the big one tonight. So again, we can go down and start cooking. So preheat the oven. That's all good. You don't need to worry about that. I will show you how I've lined the tin. It gives you quite specific instructions on how to do that. And here's all the ingredients. So 7 eggs. It makes quite a decent cheesecake, which is lovely. And again, gluten-free because it is there's no base. So that's the other thing that's very appealing about this. Rattle, rattle. Okay, 7 eggs in, 20 seconds, speed 4. The other thing that's great about this recipe is it's minimal ingredients, so it's super easy to prep. And in fact, oh no, I did need to buy the cream cheese. Everything else I had in the pantry, so I was good to go. All right. So now it's asking for 1 kilo of cream cheese. Now, again, if you wanted to make a smaller one, you could absolutely halve this recipe as well. So, and just cut into chunks. And I have left this out because I did want it to be soft. So in that goes. This was the, if you can sort of see, it's kind of like a cylinder. This was the Coles brand cream cheese. I don't normally shop at Coles, but it kind of came in a tube, which was interesting. So kind of came out like a sausage of cream cheese. So yeah, I don't know if anyone buys that, but it was substantially, it was like $2 cheaper than the, you know, what's that other brand that everyone buys? Philadelphia. So I figured it was worth saving the money. All righty. So that cream cheese is in. Now it's 30 seconds on speed 5. So far we've got our eggs and we've got our cream cheese. Now, if you want to know what's next, you can press preview and it'll tell you what you need to do next. So I'll need my sugar and I've got a little bit of flour. So it's asking me to scrape down the side. So I just want you to, oh my goodness, look at that already. Whoa. You see that? Probably pour cream cheese all over mine. So that's your egg and cream cheese mixture already. That looks delicious. I always laugh when I've got one of my friends, whenever she makes a cake, she goes, it's always half the size it should have been because I eat half the mixture before it goes in the oven. I always think about that. But, you know, if the mixture tastes good, cake's got to taste good, right? So it's just another 30 seconds there. So while that's doing that, can you hear me okay? Yes? So for you people with a TM5, if you've seen enough to make you go, actually might like one of those, let me tell you what the offer is. We take $300 off the price of the TM6 and we give you a second jug. So the value is $695 for the trader. But here's the best part of the deal. You get to keep your TM5. So what that means is if you've got a holiday house or a caravan, you can pop it in there. Or if you've got kids who are about to leave home, give them your TM5. You get a brand new TM6. Lots of options. So if that's something that sounds appealing to you, please let your consultant know and we can make it happen. All right, so 350 grams of sugar. This is a dessert. Let's not be counting that. And now this one is actually saying, and I love the whole video thing, it's actually saying insert the spatula and mix while it's running. So what that means is I'm taking the measuring cup out, I'm putting the spatula in, and while that's in there, I can give that a stir. And it's just making sure that everything combines. Now, the spatula has got that safety guard, which means there's no way that I can touch the blades. So, although when you're scraping the bowl out, you can use any spatula. When you are doing anything through the hole in the lid, please be sure to use the spatula that comes with your mix that has got the safety guard there. There are a few recipes that ask you to do this, and it works really well. Right, 5 seconds to go. Beautiful. The texture of this is absolutely incredible. And then, last but not least, let me show you this. Pour everywhere. I just realised my cream's still in the fridge. 2 seconds. Right. Oh, I just got a glimpse of my scrolls in the oven too. They look amazing. Right, so it's 500 grams of cream. If you're dairy intolerant, this is not the recipe for you, but your friends will love it. As I said, this is one of those ones that's just really special. It's rich and it's amazing. All righty, lid back on again. So pretty much with each ingredient, you're giving it a little and the last ingredient is a little bit of flour, and it literally is a little bit. It's 30 grams. So I'm actually using gluten-free flour. Both Mandy and Teresa eat gluten-free, so they made this before with gluten-free flour. I've got this coming over on Saturday, and one of them is celiac. So I figure perfect. I use gluten-free flour. It means that everyone can eat it. And it's so nice because so many people are gluten-free now. So if there's some little tweak that you can do, sometimes there'll be a whole amazing salad, but it might have soy sauce on it, and so they can't eat it. And all that would require is for that to have been a gluten-free soy sauce, and they can eat it. So I think probably being in this business, I've learned so much about food and dietary requirements that, you know, there are little tweaks that you can make so that then everyone can eat what you've made.
Michelle, is that full to the rim? Because it's great to see.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah,
it's just
really
going to do another 30-second mix, and I'm just going to take everyone over to my oven. See, oh yeah, they probably need a little bit longer, but they're looking good. I just did fog up my glasses though. So for those of you who don't have a Thermomix at all, our current purchase offer is the price of the TM6 is $25.79, and for an extra $29, you can also get the second done. So, and we do have different payment options available with that as well. So, again, reach out to your consultant, but our payment options include 24 months interest-free, as well as what we call an easy 3 payment option. So as I said, 30 grams of flour. And for those, I haven't pointed this out yet, but the Thermomix weighs in 1 gram. The scales weigh in 1 gram increments. So if you've had previous models, it's been 5 or 10 gram increments. So it means that you can be really precise with that. Now, that's going to mix for 2 minutes. I'm going to show you my tip, but now I think, Mandy, are you ready to show us your dish, Mandy? Yes, I actually might do Mandy while that's mixing and then show you mine in a moment.
Okay, so mine's all done and I've plated it up. I will just put my screen down like that. So a bit hard to see, as Michelle said, sometimes you've got to be careful not to pour things over your computer. But what I did was add some tomatoes and some parsley and a bit of chopped up cucumber to the quinoa with the lemon juice and the olive oil. And then on top, I have the salmon. I've got the tahini yogurt and the walnut crumble there. So it's a little bit hard to show it all, just without it all falling off the plate. But it looks awesome. And it does say you can eat it hot or cold. So seeing as we're not going to have dinner at 9 o'clock at night, that could be tomorrow's lunch. Very happy to give that a go. And as I said before, thanks Teresa for suggesting it for tonight. Glad I was able to cook it.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Who are we going
Thanks,
to
Mandy.
next?
That looks amazing. Sorry, I couldn't hear. Teresa, have you got your oh no,
Back.
I've got the cheesecake. Do you want to show your cheesecake? Mine's got 30 seconds to go.
So show the finished product. You want me to show the finished product of the base? Yep. Okay. So here we go. I was planning on doing half, and then I thought, why not? Neighbours, good old neighbours can get some as well. So this does rise. That is the full portion. And when it's cooking, it does smell like it's burning, but that's okay. And also some of the tips is you've got to leave it. So it cooks for an hour. You've got to leave it in the tin once it's cooked for an hour. So it's a little bit wobbly when you check it or take it out of the oven. Absolutely fine, because it will continue to cook in that extra hour process while it's sitting in the tin. So that's been in the fridge, and then you can just serve it with a berry coulis at room temperature. So really lovely dessert. If you haven't made it, give it a go. And it's something that you can pre-do in advance if you are entertaining. It's not something that you have to do there and then. So you can do it a night or two before, and easy. So yeah,
I'm salivating
incredible.
looking at that.
I know. I bet your
boys
boys
are
are
probably-
hanging. I was just about to say, I bet they're in the wings going, can we eat it yet?
dessert. Yep.
I love it. Thank you. That looks perfect. I love it. All right. So coming back to me, thank you guys. We've packed a lot in tonight. So we appreciate that we're probably running a little bit over, but we're bringing it home now. So here's the tin. So the instructions do say to have the baking paper about 10 centimeters above, because it does rise well above that while it's in the oven, and then it kind of settles when it comes out. So I've got that all beautifully lined there. And then Teresa was just saying about showing you how full the bowl is. So here is my bowl, and I'm just going to tip the camera rather than tip that. So you can see that it is really right at that maximum fill line. And I've left my little spatula over here. Oh, sorry. So I was saying before, when you've got doing anything through the hole in the lid, always use the other one. But I actually do quite like these when I'm doing it a little bit more. So I'm going to tilt the camera down just so you can see the texture of that as I pour it in. Have a look at that. I think I could probably just drink that, but gee, I'd have a tummy ache afterwards. So we're just going to pop all that in. And then as Teresa said, it'll bake, and then it needs to cool in the tin. And it's definitely one, I think you could even do that a few days before, honestly, because it is better set in the fridge. I mean, you can definitely do it same day. Obviously, Teresa made hers today, and I'm thinking it's going to be gone tonight by the time her teenage boys get onto that. But certainly if you've got people coming over on the weekend, you could make that, midweek, and then just have it ready to go. Now, this class was originally, and you can see that now it's in the tin, it's actually, that's quite full as well. So I'm going to carefully pop that over here, because obviously my scroll is still in the oven. But in the interest of here's one we prepared earlier, here is the sweet potato quiche with the prosciutto that I'm pre-made today. Now I actually used, I was excited to use this because this is the Thermomix rose gold quiche tin, and it's actually one of those ones where the base, you can kind of push the base out. So my tip is, when you're actually putting it in the oven, have it on an oven tray, because that'd be a disaster, wouldn't it? Lifting up the middle and that going everywhere. And you can kind of see, my little edge is falling off, but you can actually sort of see with these, I ran this over, I followed the instructions, and it sort of said to let it overhang quite a bit, and it shrank down enough that it did give me quite a nice sort of edging on that. So that worked really well. I just put a little bit of baking paper at the bottom of it, just because it's just being a bit kind of didn't want it to stick to my pretty rose gold tin. So, but again, that actually looks really lovely. And if you look at the recipe, it's got a bit of rocket on top and some sliced avocado. So you can serve it as it is. You can eat it warm or cold, and serve it with a salad or something like that, and it'd be really lovely. So whether it be the meal or an addition, a side dish in the meal. And as I said, you could definitely make that vegetarian as well. last
Sorry,
but not
Michelle,
least.
did you just show the foil of the basque?
Yes. So I actually hadn't done that bit yet, but good point.
Okay,
Did you
sorry.
do that today?
I did, just in case.
Yeah. So the first time I made the Basque cheesecake, because it doesn't have a base, you know, when you make a normal cheesecake, you get, you know, you kind of, your base comes up the side a bit and it catches the filling, the cream cheese. So what I learned when I first time I made it, I ended up with cream cheese all over my oven. So what I've learned from Yolaine, our gorgeous French pastry chef in our team, is that, and this has an official name. If anybody knows what it is, can you please tell me, because I can't remember the official name. But just get some foil and gather it around the base of your tin. And what that will do is, if it does start to leak out a little bit, it stops it. And it, as soon as it sets, it starts to cook, it'll actually create its own barrier. But just by putting a little bit of foil around the base of it, you just reduce any likelihood of that leaking out into your oven. Does anyone know the name of it? It's got a special French name when you put the foil around the bottom like that. If we can't figure it out tonight, when I send you the email with the information, I'm going to tell you what it is. I'll find out. All right, I'm going to get my scrolls. Chopping board to pop them on. So they'll be hot. Oh, smells good. Fogged up my glasses again. There we go. Have a look at those. Oh, there's lovely cheesy goodness everywhere there. Just going to tilt the camera down. There we go. What a feast I have in my house this evening. Good times. So there you go. Has anybody got any questions? Did you get some tips tonight? Are you going to make any of the things that you've seen tonight? Oh, I can see Barbara nodding. That makes me happy. I can't see lots of people, so I can see Janine nodding too.
What is the first thing you're going to make from what you've seen tonight?
I think I like the look of that quiche.
Oh, the
Yeah.
quiche?
All my family were walking past going, oh, is that dinner? And I'm like, no, don't touch it. That's not your dinner. That'll be tomorrow's dinner or something. So, yeah, so we're really excited about tonight's menu. Teresa and I originally tried to do this as a face-to-face cooking class and sort of a cook club, but we just really struggled. It just seems like, you know, people were so busy and we just couldn't get enough people to make it happen. So we've done it tonight. But our original motivation of doing it was that we were trying to do a fundraiser for MND. So Thermomix have actually aligned themselves with MND this year to help raise money for such a good cause. And it's interesting when you talk about it, the amount of people in our community who have been touched by motor neurone disease, and I'm sure out there as well. So when I send the follow-up email tomorrow, I will put a link in there if you do want to make a donation to MND, and we do have an official letter to say that we are an affiliated fundraiser for them. Certainly no obligation, but just thought I'd share that with you, which was sort of how this came about. But we were so excited by the menu that, seeing as we couldn't do it in a face-to-face environment, we thought we'd do it in this this Zoom environment. So we're really pleased you could join us. If you're looking at us going, I want to do what they're doing, please reach out. We'd love to have you on our team. We've got really great opportunities to come along and be a consultant, try it on for size. We have what we call a 60-day program where you try it on for a couple of months, and if you don't like it, you just go, do you know what, that wasn't for me. But you know what, at the end of that 60 days, you walk away with a lot more knowledge about your Thermomix, and you might have even made a couple of friends along the way as well. So, and as I mentioned earlier, if you would like to invest in a Thermomix, please speak to your consultant and they will send you an order link and you can have a Thermomix on your bench pretty quickly. So thank you, everybody. Thanks, Mandy and Teresa. Love working with you girls. You're both awesome. And thank you, all of you, for coming along and watching us tonight, because without you, we'd just be three crazy ladies talking to ourselves in our own kitchens. So thanks, everybody. Good night. I'll stop recording now, but if anyone does want to stay on and have a chat, please feel free to do so.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.